All right. Hi, everyone. It's Alisha Braché here at Cosmic Gateway, bringing you another. I'm so excited about this one. Another cosmic conversation. I have a very dear soul sister of mine here, Alexis Buck from Ascension Diaries. Some of you may or may not know her, and if you don't, you have to get to know her work and her stuff. So, Alexis has a YouTube channel and a website and Facebook, and she has so much more expertise when it comes to Schumann, space weather intel. And, one of the reasons that I wanted to bring her on here was through Cosmic Gateway, I often get asked about the specifics around the Schumann and different data points and the science behind it. And I'm quite open and honest saying, I don't know. I don't know what the red lines mean. And and I refer people to go and speak, go to Alexis's channel. She breaks that down so magnificently. And then, after having many people asking these questions, I was like, you know what? Let's just bring her on. Let's have a conversation. So without any more of my rambling, I'm going to throw it over. Welcome, Alexis. Thank you for coming on here.
And thank you so much for having me. And I'm really grateful to be having this cosmic conversation with you.
It's been a while since we've had a video chat. So I guess two questions. First of all, where are you and what are you doing? Because it sounds so exciting, what you're currently doing and traveling around. So tell us a little bit about that.
I'd love to. So I have had this dream over the last few years, especially since I've started this particular work, and the blog, the Facebook page has been to be mobile and be more available to other groups of people, other enlightened groups of people who are gathering in certain cities, and also events and so on. So currently I'm on the west coast of the United States. I'm in California at the moment, and we've been going and meeting other people and getting ourselves prepared. We've recently moved into a mobile, like we live in a van now, which has been crazy. So I'm the Schumann weather report lady who lives in a van and does tarot readings on the side to keep everything going. And the momentum's picking up. Events are going to be coming into when the summer and spring start coming in. So it's just prep time for all of the healing and meetings and things like that are going to be happening. So I'm excited to be meeting more people in our community very soon.
How incredible. I mean, that's the life, really. That's the life that a lot of us in the community really aspire to, is just traveling around and doing the good work, doing the soul mission. And I love that because you're connecting with people physically,
Mm-hmm.
Where a lot of my work is in this room on this laptop. And so, that's amazing that you actually get out and get to connect with people. And yeah, it sounds amazing. I think this year's going to bring so much. I won't even go.
I know. And I didn't even think it was going to be this soon that we were going to be doing this. But again, with all of the research and the work that we've been doing with people, the effectiveness of actually being like having my electromagnetic field close to another person actually changes their electromagnetic field, and then vice versa. And there's like, just on a scientific basis, it's extremely effective way to spread information, to share, to heal, to bring unity in the community. So I'm very, very, very grateful to be in this position, and that's why we've been blogging part of like the journey as well. So it's been a really huge creative opportunity too.
Wow, and such an important point that I'm glad you pointed out, because the energy transference. And I guess I want to say, because I've known you for a little while now, and I know that you bring such magnificent light and energy to the people that you work with. And I know that you do sessions and tarot card readings and a lot of amazing stuff that helps so many people. And there's different ways that energy, obviously a lot of my work is remote, and I do in-person sessions, but the fact that you get the opportunity to, you know, have such a powerful impact in the work that you're doing and connecting with people. Like, it's just magnificent. So I'm just going to throw that in, that if you are in California or, you know, follow, you know, connect in. I will put the details of how to connect with Alexis and all her blog and YouTube channel. But if you are in her location and you want to like connect with her and have a session, I will put the details below as well. But take this opportunity, because I'm sure that you're going to be kind of moving along soon. So, you know, follow their blog and where they're at. And if you get that opportunity to see her in person, like wow, do it. So
It would be wonderful. And if you don't wanna, or you can't reach me in person again, I do remote sessions the same way. So that's the next best thing for sure. And yeah,
yeah.
definitely don't downplay the remote healing. Like that's a big one for sure.
Well, yeah, it's absolutely. I was going to say, and sometimes it's perfect for what the person needs. And I had this experience yesterday where, oh, sorry, have an alarm going off.
It's gonna be a good story, and I can already tell.
Yeah, woo. So, you know, I had a session come through of someone who could have come in person into this room, um, and as it just turned out, it wasn't going to be possible. So we did a remote session, and it actually worked out much better for her and for me for so many reasons. And so, you know, energy and information and conversation, like, it is very fluid. It doesn't really matter where you are. So, you know, what would be suitable for one person to have it in face-to-face in person may be much more suitable for someone else to be in the comfort of their own home, you know. So, you know, it's just really what works. And if it connects, you know, divinely, it's perfect. If it's, you know, in person, then great. If it's remote, you know, same. And what's the best for that individual, I guess. So
I completely agree.
yeah, cool. Well, I want to throw out another question, and just I'd love to hear a little bit about like what your awakening ascension kind of journey was, like how you got into doing what you do, you know, with the amazing updates that you do and reading the data and doing your sessions. Would you love to tell us a little bit about that and how that kind of came about?
Sure, I'd love to give it a shot. You know how you ask people like us, and it's like, oh, that's a long story. But I'll break it down in a simple way. But I definitely have the influence of my mother and my father for sure to have kind of pushed me in this direction and encouraged the conversation about enlightenment, spirituality, you know, the golden rule, things like that, very simple. And also the ET side of things. So like the curiosity and exploration of extraterrestrial life and interplanetary sort of stuff as well. So having that sort of cosmic awareness that you kind of need to sort of visualize what environmental factors could be affecting our person helps when you're like, there's much more going on outside of our own planet that can also impact us. And I've also kind of had that mentality since I was like quite a bit younger in like junior high and, you know, grade school. And then going into my studies, I went to university to study psychology because I truly am a healer at heart and was like, this is the only thing that makes sense to me to study. If I have to go, I might as well study the psychology of people and how I can sort of understand how to help them better. And hopefully that'll lead me into a job where I can be helping people every day, which I am now doing, but it's not really it's not really what I had imagined at the time. And then when I was in I went back to school to become an educator because I thought if I'm going to help people, I might as well help the children because that's where it really all begins. This sort of psychosis and these negative thought forms and confusion and separation and things like that. All those things start to really form in the younger years. So I was like, that's where I should be. And in that time, I learned about the Schumann resonance, which blew my mind because understanding that there is a frequency that our own planet emits and is in our atmosphere all the time that fluctuates and has an effect directly with our own brain waves is something that, you know, somebody fresh out of a psychology degree, I was like, holy crap, why is this not a thing that I didn't know about after all those years of study?
Mm.
And then being like, you can't give people medication and you can't give people proper treatment if you aren't bringing in all of the proper factors about their environment and other things that are affecting their brain waves. So I dove into studying what this phenomena was, and I realized that there was a lot of privacy almost around the topic, again, which just makes sense why they weren't
Ah.
teaching it to us in
Mm.
university. But it was discovered mathematically in like the 30s, this Schumann resonance, and then later discovered with, you know, wrapped coils. They found this extremely low frequency that's just humming our planet all the time. So it kind of built off of that, and I was like, okay, here's some websites that are Russian that are giving us this data, and then there's some American websites that are also saying that this phenomena has always been here and it's not changing. And then there was many people in the spiritual community I was also bridging into, saying that this factor was increasing and changing, and it was having an impact on our consciousness.
Mm.
So it just hit me on so many levels where I was like, I really need to pay attention to this, because I also feel that I am being affected by things that are outside of my normal understanding. And tracking the Schumann resonance allowed me to become more conscious and aware of basically cosmic
Mm.
radiations, solar wind, where I began studying the sun and tracking solar experiences, Schumann resonance experiences, you know, cosmic rays, things like that, and how they impacted my body. And I realized that I was actually quite sensitive to this. And then while sharing this on my blog, realized that there was many other people in the community just as sensitive, people with nervous system disturbances, like they would be on medication or they'd have really chronic pain. And the days that it was the most intense were days that the Schumann resonance or the solar wind was really high. And they had no idea that this had a factor. So they're just dosing themselves more medication for pain that they didn't know the source of. And so it was just like, again, it just kept feeding into my need to be a healer. And so I was
Right.
like, oh my gosh, people will probably be helped by this. And I have people all over the world writing in being like, thank you so much for your work, because I don't feel out of as much out of control over my experience, and it's helped me kind of regain my power over my,
Mm.
you know, body. And it's been very rewarding, and the research continues because these electric experiences that our planet has continue to happen. Like you also talk about them, and like the more people who talk about it the better, because I feel like it's very empowering.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you. And I was just thinking, like, that's how I discovered you, was through the Schumann. And like, I was one of those people that reached out to you, um, going back like a year ago, because
Yeah.
I had come across it. So, like, my introduction was more a few years prior to becoming aware of the Schumann. It was space weather. It was more solar flares, and I was noticing how my body was, and I was just doing my own personal observation.
Right.
And then the first big, I think it was one of the biggest spikes, not last year, the following. Um, I had I was so impacted by it. Like, I started to pay serious attention, and then, you know, researched and found you, and then reached out to you because I was watching what my body was doing. Through those spikes, and I was like, there is no like, there's a direct correlation. I can't, you know, I can't, can't deny that, you know. And you know, I'm highly sensitive, as many of us are in the community. And it, for a long time as a kid, like, I just felt so much that I couldn't even articulate, because I didn't
Yeah.
fully understand it, but I knew it was so much more than my own experience in terms of, you know, directly, you know. So I knew it was much bigger than that. And and you know, it kind of ties into Ascension. And just as a side note, like I recently have been joking about how, you know, I'm so invested in this like planetary ascension, and I have been since I was a little kid walking around talking about it. You know, I didn't have the term ascension back then. I don't know what I called it, but I just knew that there was something massive that was going to happen on the planet, and I was here to be part of the transition team, you know, and no doubt you're such a big part of that. We're all a big part of that. I don't know where I was going with that, but you know, like I think the Schumann has brought this what was more of a spiritual, energetical, esoteric kind of path. It's kind of bridging. Would you say that it's kind of bridging worlds a little bit with the data and helping more people understand that may not be kind of more scientifically minded rather than sensitive or spiritually minded or oriented?
It's true. And I think bridge is the best word to use for it, because that was a big part of the revelation, was like, holy crap, there is scientific data that connects this esoteric, more right brained feeling, empathic, intuitive sort of feeling with the logical mind, which is, again, I just come out of school and had been basically just overstimulating my left hand side, my logical brain, and was like, people need this, because most of the time only the logical brain is stimulated by our society and accepted as truth and as logic. And it doesn't allow, there isn't many bridges that allow you to move into the spiritual. Like even Einstein was saying, like, once you get to a certain level of intellectual strength, you realize that there is a spiritual, a energetic, like there's more esotericness to it. There's another leap you have to make. And I think this was a helpful bridge, because it's very corporal, it's very in your body. You're like, oh, this is going up. The Schumann resonance graphs are showing a blast. I am tired. This must mean something is happening to me that I don't quite understand. And so it doesn't make it as, I feel like it makes us less scary too, to explore what this could mean on a more esoteric level, like you were saying, the ascension, and how, again, I relate to that as a child, being like, I'm here to get some stuff done, like what's the deal? And I thought, you know, and I still kind of think it is aliens a little bit, but I know that was a big part of it, like, okay, the space is a big deal. And then now I'm like,
I think we have that very much shared experience.
yeah. I'm like, okay, it's not that, but it definitely helps people realize that they are impacted from space, and that space is a part of their lived life. And I think it's a beautiful bridge in so many ways. And it even helped myself train my own intuitive, or my own sensitivity to my body, to a degree that I'd never been trained before. And it's not like you're asked as a child, or ever given that opportunity to really pay attention to these more minor shifts. Even in textbooks, they say that your body will twitch and behave in weird ways, and it's just a phenomena that happens, and it's very much dismissed. And it's like, no, I feel like there's a lot of ways that we could explain these phenomena that are happening. And I really have so far found that it's been very helpful to track these things, like you yourself have found.
Yeah, it is. It's I was just thinking as you're talking, and you just speak so beautifully about it, and it kind of bridges both worlds in the sense that for the people who, you know, spirituality isn't like their core resonance, and they're more scientific or logical brained, it's giving them a bridge to that. And then for people like myself who just you know, the typical Pisces that's feeling everything, it's given me something that has like a tangible, practical, okay, right, you know, this is rather than feeling like I'm getting knocked out or floating in space, you know, all that cool experiences that we have with all these energies. And I guess that brings me into, and I've been quite time poor recently, but there was an article and a video that came out, and there's a bit of talk about something that happened on the 3rd or the 4th of January. Have you looked into that much?
I have. I think I know what you're talking about. And I have been watching, because again, when you're in this community, there's a lot more other people who begin using these charts to explain phenomena that are coming in from space and their effects on basically human evolution, which is the coolest part, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And so, like, like if you were mentioning, I'm pretty sure what you're saying is this. There is a chart that shows energy hitting the planet, and then behind it you'll see the magnetic lines and things like that, and the magnetic lines kind of bubble behind, or they kind of get curled up behind the planet, and that's usually when solar wind is hitting us and it causes that sort of effect. But the images I was seeing was that the velocity of what hit our planet, which I see it happen all the time,
Mhm.
it was much higher than usual. And again, I can't back that up with my own research because I haven't been watching the velocity on those charts they've been sharing. So I can't be like, oh, it can't back up the claims that are saying this is the highest velocity I've ever seen. And we're seeing readings of high velocity energy hitting our planet, and then also charts that usually share solar wind speed, and they aren't reaching that speed. So it's like there's a
Mm.
miscommunication between different scientific outlets of data, which is common. And
Yes.
so again, I'm tiptoeing my way through this understanding, but also I've been sent, and it's funny too, because when you get in this community, there's people who are only channeling the fact without using any charts, being like, there's energy going to come in and hit our planet this day or in this week. And then it does show up on the scientific charts. And that's another fun part.
Mm.
So I didn't see this myself, but they took images and screenshots of it happening during those days, and I heard about it coming in from a channeling from the Pleiadians, I think, that they
Mhm.
were going to be sending our planet some energy for healing purposes. And then this big event happened, and we saw this high velocity come in, and people got excited, and I've been just kind of cautiously
Yeah.
watching it from a distance, being like, this is very helpful for people who did feel a big difference, and I certainly did. But I've felt differences from many events that have come in, and that's why it's so fun to continually watch, because it's every month, if not multiple times a month, where we're getting crazy readings of something coming in, and you really do feel it. And there really is geopolitical things that happen as well during that time. It's like there's
Mm.
multiple layers to this shift in this game. So it's like from space, earthquakes in the earth, and then people and how they're feeling in their bodies, and then political shifts that happen, just totally just this domino effect of change that happens. So I'm I that's how I feel about it anyways.
Yeah, thank you for talking about that, because I stumbled across it, like people had sent me, and I had a quick glance, but I really didn't have the time to kind of go into it. But if data, the way that I work, if data comes across and quite often I'll ping it to you, I'm like, Alexis, can you translate this for me? I don't understand. um, but like I had a look, and I had to cast my mind back to, because like you said, we're getting hit with so many different energy combinations, if you will,
Hmm.
constantly, that kind of feel like, it's increasing, and it's very exciting. And I try not to get into the hype of dates and times and all that, and like just
Yes.
be in the unfolding of it really is I think both of us probably can't stress that enough. It's like being in the magic of this grand unfolding that's happening. And I tend to tune in intuitively. Like, I don't give predictive dates or anything like that, but I might get them, and I I shouldn't keep them too much. I share them amongst, because I realize the way that I see it is that a lot of us, depending on our energy frequency and the timelines and all of that stuff that comes in, we may not all be impacted exactly at the same time.
Yes.
And so it's, you know, it's about, you know, applying information and then kind of, yeah, matching it and seeing what comes, and being in that exploration. But my intuitive kind of has been like niggling in the side of my ear since that, and it just kind of feels like, I think I shared I think Corey Good put out an article um, with Michael Sala. I actually haven't read it. I did share it. I scanned it as I do before I share information. And I just like, I feel that we are kind of getting prepared for more and more impactful energies coming in, you know, to put it very.
Did this article just come out?
Yeah, I shared it. Yeah, okay.
Haven't seen
Yesterday.
it.
Yeah. Once again, like, go and have a look at that. I can put that in there.
I will totally. I follow both of them. I know them. So it's like, okay, what are they saying? Because I'm always, it's their data and what they've been saying has always been in synchronicity and unison with these
Yeah.
changes. So it's good to hear what their intel is, because
It,
they claim to have,
I have
connections.
exact. And I have to say, I was a little bit excited when I saw the headline. I'm trying to
Okay.
find it now. But basically, it was saying insider intel and science backing that. Hang on, I'm going to read it because I don't want to like.
Please do.
Come on, my. Where is it? Impending solar flash event supported by scientific studies and insider testimony.
Okay. So I know I've seen them release articles about this. Like they've been putting it out a few times a year. So is this like something being like, hey, we have new stuff being securing that this is coming, sooner, or are they still sticking with the kind of, because there's been a timeline where it's about like 2020 to 2022 where
And
we're
then
going
it
to
pushes
really see
out a few
something.
years.
Yeah.
Once again, I'd have to go through it. I think it's new intel,
Okay.
but yeah, I once again, I put it out there.
Everybody else has to go look for it too. If you're curious, exopolitics.org, I think, is the website that Dr. Michael Sala has. So yeah, I'll
And
check
they
that out.
do great work, and I think it's what I'm trying to bring together with this cosmic conversations, and is to bring more people to the forefront in one kind of hub, to expand
Yeah.
people, like to explore different things, because I feel like I've had my finger on the pulse of a lot of aspects of this for years, because it's been a general interest to me.
Yeah.
I joke about, I was raised in a you probably a bit the same. I was raised in a family where it was normal to talk about UFOs, like that was just common talk, and
Yeah.
conspiracy theories, and all that good stuff combined with spirituality. So I want to bring more good quality content, just that people can explore different things, because people resonate with different things, and if you don't know what the full spectrum of what's out there, you could be not exposed to some really cool stuff. So I think that's all I have to say about that. I've gone
Bridging the
on.
gaps, bridging the areas of knowledge, and whatever you seek to know more about right now is important for your journey.
Yeah. So yeah, perfectly said. And I think for a lot of people, I think I can openly say this because I know it was part of my journey and probably yours, but like I went through various stages of like being interested in this, and then that led to that, down that rabbit hole, and then and so it helps us with our own evolution process to have information and trying different modalities, and so I think it's great to put it all out on the smorgasbord, and and allow people to come to the table.
I know, and there's still so many people out there who have all of this info inside of them, or maybe they've incarnated specifically to deliver information about us, part of it that we still have questions about, and then they're going to start a blog or a YouTube channel, and they're going to be delivering their truth and their message and what they've been thinking about. And it's all important. It's definitely all of putting the puzzle pieces together to what this picture is going to be. And it's forming very beautifully. And it's funny because being like, oh, ascension is a term that there is a consciousness renaissance happening, that energies are coming in and it's going to be causing us to have a different heightened consciousness on a planetary level. That's pretty cool. And scientifically, if you can actually show data that this is actually happening, is like priceless in my opinion. So more people doing that and watching those things and participating in the discussion and in the whole event is so fun, because it's like, in my opinion, it's like the only thing to really, it's the only fun thing that's happening right now in my opinion. But it's just, and it feels like it is coming to a peak. And we've been getting like small peaks throughout the last few years for sure. And last year we had a big peak in March, and so I'm
Yes.
curious to see what's going to happen this March, because I've also noticed that there is a annual behavior cycle of these um, energies, especially the Schumann resonance, based off of, I think it's just because which side of the earth is facing the sun and the tilt. And there's a lot more science to it that I wish I had access to. But again, like I said, there seems to be a bit of a shrouded secrecy about this. And the funny thing is that the Schumann resonance is being played on space stations and things like that because it's an inherent human need, um, to keep our brain waves and ourselves kind of grounded and normal, because they would isolate people underground away from the Schumann resonance and they'd go loopy, and so it's very important.
Wow, I have heard that, and when you're saying that, I just had this beautiful kind of vision, or sense of like, that I
Ooh,
refer to it as Mother Earth's heart, or Gaia's heartbeat, and it's like
yeah,
almost that analogy. If you take an infant away from the mother, like it doesn't fare well. It needs that. Oh. um,
it is beautiful. It's very beautiful. The whole thing is very beautiful, and that's been another beautiful part of it. It's like, as an artist too, like yourself, seeing these charts and seeing these blasts and seeing how unique they are as well, and what it all looks like and how it all affects you. It's just so beautiful, and this process is beautiful. And that's another big thing, it's kind of been taking away the fear
yeah.
of what this could be, because again, we are floating in space and we could simply be fried by a solar flare tomorrow. Like, so kind of getting over the fear of death as well, and being like, this is a beautiful process, this is part of nature, and you are nature and you are infinite as well, everything is energy. So just
Yeah.
enjoy the show and be a participant, and uh, take part in what you like best.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we all hold those pieces of the puzzle, and we all bring something to the table through our unique gifts and talents. And you just mentioned that earlier, and I can't agree more. It's through the connections that I make, through the people who come to me in various ways, that like we have these shared experiences or similar experiences, and by sharing that, we understand more about what's happening and what's going on. And it's simply magnificent, because it starts to, you know, that vision gets wider and wider and wider. But just going back to something that you said, and I did want to touch on that, and I am conscious of time because I know that you're actually live, so you just let me know how we're going. um, but I have also noticed the correlations through my own, you know, own experience of 1 year preps for the next year, and then the next year, and we can look back at the year
Yes.
before and go, okay, well, this kind of happened. And I know I've shared a little bit on my YouTube channel, but February and March was absolutely monumental in terms of energy waves of what I experienced on I would say, a more of a multi-dimensional experience, because even though it was very real and tangible for me, and experiencing this energy wave that came through and rippled through my body at nighttime, and it kind of felt like it was the event, so to speak, that everyone were kind of waiting for in March. And
yes,
I was also very aware that not everyone else experienced it the same way that I did. And, I didn't talk about that because I knew that that was an experience for me to hold a different vibration for the work that I did. And I know that so many other people like yourself went through a very major shift back in March last year. So I am curious to see what that was prepping, for, and what's to unfold in the next couple of months. And I don't know, like, on that note, like, I know I often give people things that they can do to help them assist, because let's face it, if you are sensitive, there can be really challenging times with the physical body and emotionally and mentally. Like, what sort of things do you suggest to people, just in a general sense? Obviously it's different when you have a session, you can delve more into specifics of what may best assist them, but what general things can people do to kind of prepare and help their body to assimilate more of this energy that seems to be becoming stronger and stronger?
Well, I want to touch a little bit before I say my response to that on what you mentioned about going through a shift,
Mm,
a major shift, and how yours happened. And I wanted to just ask you personally, because I don't remember.
sure.
Was it in February or March that it happened to you? Because for me, I watched all the readings happen in March, and then it was into April that it
Mm.
kind of impacted me. It took a little bit of time. And I was curious if yours was like before it happened or after. Like, I don't remember.
I just going back, I know that it was February, March, and April that was significant. So February, I
Yeah.
got all the dreams, the messages that I get in dreams, and that's when we connected, because you were in my dreams. I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
very much new earthly dreams, and I get those messages. But the energy, that experience was in March. I
Yeah.
think it was around the time of equinox. I don't know the date exactly. I went through on my birthday on the 10th of March. I had a big experience, and then it was around equinox. And then, if I remember correctly, April, I went through another big shift. And it was always around the 22nd. The 22nd was always, it was the
Okay.
22nd of, yeah, I remember that.
I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I think, yeah, I was similarly in April, but I'm very excited in a way too, because something like that, the way it felt, and after reading and learning and doing all this research, being like, there's an event happening, there's a shift in your frequency that's supposed to be happening to you. And I was like, oh, is it gradual or is it going to be instant? And similarly to you, I had a shift that I could feel. I experienced. It was like I had taken like a major dose of like psychedelics or something, in a way. Not a major dose, like it
Yeah.
wasn't that crazy, but it was pretty intense. And like seeing seeing things in the clouds, and just having this feeling like I was floating, and everything around me was like gold and sparkly, and I was just like, what is happening to this? Must be it. And we're studying this, and then when it happens, you're like, holy crap. And then it kind of fades away over time, and you adjust, readjust, and you're like, is that it? Is that what's going to happen? I'm curious if the same sort of thing is going to happen this year,
Mm.
and it's going to hit more people because they've reached that level of vibration through the means that we are now going to discuss, which is the idea is that to be more receptive, and also to be flow with these high vibrational things, these faster buzz is to also buzz faster. And so there's many means to increase your own vibration, which is especially taking away things that lower your vibration, and those can be classified as depressants or things that make you just feel heavy, like things that you would ingest or be around that make you feel heavy, like a lot of electronics, fluorescent light, um, crowded spaces, toxic relationships with people, and then also, food, drugs, anything. Like everything is kind of a drug, like coffee, wine, marijuana, uh, you know, like candy, things like that, things that are, are not good for you. And then transitioning to just being more water based, vegetable based, taking cordyceps and other like sort of medicinal natural things, uh, just your greens, like chlorophyll and things like that, to kind of keep your pH level higher, or sorry, I guess I should say lower, more basic. Yes, more basic. Yeah. So keeping your pH more basic as you can, closer to like the average or lower. And so taking away acidic things, but then also it goes into like sleep, because these things are also about cellular change. And so you're kind of going through a puberty, is what I say a lot of the time, is that it's almost treating yourself like you're having a pregnancy or you're going through puberty. Treat your body like you're having that kind of experience. And again, you'll be more forgiving because you're going to have mood things, weird things are going to happen, but just taking the best care of yourself, and also making sure you're out in nature and connecting with trees and grounding your bare feet on the ground, being near moving water, putting yourself in moving water, putting yourself in Epsom salt baths. There's like aromatherapy, there's binaural beats and solfeggio frequencies, songs that you can listen to that help your brain waves kind of get in. Like there's so many things that I've learned that you can do if you're writing things down furiously, what I'm saying. That's what I love about your post, is that you treat it almost as if it's a medical thing, which I like, being like, make sure you're drinking your water, make sure you're getting your sleep, make sure you're stretching, you're getting your exercise, making sure that your spinal fluid is getting the movement it needs too, and like letting you, the electricity, like you're a lightning rod, your whole nervous system get the movement and the flow it needs through yoga and stretching and moving your body. Like it's funny because it's so simple in a way, but it's something that we've been so starved of societally. We've basically been convinced that we don't really need those things because we can just basically survive off of the crappy stuff that feeds our ego and kind of is a band-aid solution to emotions. And so you're going to be removing all of those things that you use as crutches, and also being faced with all of your emotions, of the things you've been repressing, and your body's going through a change. So it's a big shift, and it's daily you're having to take things away and adding things to your life, and you've become your own healer intensely. And the more you invest in that, the quicker you're going to have these changes, and you're going to be more receptive to whatever these shifts are, but also it's going to be inviting more change. So it's like it's happening inevitably, I think, for everybody, but it's like the more active you are, the more you're going to be asked to take on. Because I think those of us who really took the reins and were like, we want to do this, I want my superpowers, I want to be psychic, I want things to happen. We have a pineal gland, I want that thing working, I want to stop drinking fluoride, I want to clear it out, clear those heavy metal toxins, those parasites out of my gut, get it out of there, like everything that is not helping you, so you can just like take off. And like honestly, telepathy is one major thing that a lot of people already are doing, even more just this year, like thinking about someone, they're calling you right away. Those are the kinds of things that are going to be picking up, and I have no reason to think that they aren't, because like again, I've noticed in just a year it's been incredible. So I'm very excited.
Oh, it's amazing. And yet I've noticed the telepathy
Yeah.
pick up. I mean, it's something that I do. I've always kind of had, or I had to like learn that that's what was happening, the voices in my head. But But I've noticed how heightened that's become in the last, say, 6 months. It's
Yes.
supercharged, supercharged. So thank you for sharing. Like, there is just so much, and I hope you all got your pen and paper down. Like, there's just so much
Yeah.
resources and so much that we can do and so much to support ourselves. And thank you for going through that list. And I really encourage people that there is so much. So, intuitively find what works best for you. And if you don't know, try it. And if it works, great. If not, try something different, and really be experimental, which is, what it's all about. So there was one point that you said, and I wanted to bring it back, and I'm like, it's gone. I think it's gone. Probably for good reason, because I know that your battery life is probably
I'm doing decently well right now, to be honest.
okay. Good. Okay, I wasn't sure because I can't see how long we've been on here, but I can gauge roughly. So, um, I guess before we do, we can. Um, I just want to ask you. Obviously, you do your sessions and you put out amazing content, and like people have had this opportunity now to get to know you a little bit better, and you know, and listen to your beautiful words. And you just have such an amazing energy when you speak. It's such a calming, tone, and the way that people speak, is a very good indication of what they're emanating. And so if you're tapping into connecting with someone like that, then that's going to have that effect on
Hmm.
you. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about like what you do, and how people can find you, and where? And obviously, yes, I'll put the details in the description box below. But yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
I'd love to. And I think it's a responsibility that a lot of us are taking on more, especially those of us who've been paying attention to this and then have been noticing the changes and then been like, I need to share this with other people. Like, we have literally gone through some sort of change that I can't measure, and I can't even really talk about it in a way because it's so abstract. And I've had to tell my family, being like, something happened to me and I'm different, but it's great and I feel fine and I've recovered. It's taken months to recover, like since April until now. Like, I'm feeling the best and most balanced I've felt since then. It's taken that much time. And so what I do for the most part is I work one on one with people who are in the same sort of situation, who are noticing that these things are causing changes in their life, that things are falling away. Because that's another major thing, is that a lot of stuff that you used to hold on to, or old patterns in your life that never used to really be a problem, are collapsing because you're being pushed, you're being freed, you're being liberated to begin to follow a more heart led life and share and become service to others in your own creative, unique way. And honestly, whatever sparks your fancy in your creative, in your heart. And so, um, I've been doing one on one sessions with people on a monthly basis through my Patreon, and that's been allowing me to have a monthly income as well, to have one-on-one coaching, to just work with them, being like, what is it that you're going through this month? And I'll do tarot card reading as well to help get answers about unanswered questions or things that you're not really sure about, just to see what basically the randomization of the universe gives you. And so you
Yeah.
ask a question to the randomness of the cards, and whatever flies out of my hands when I'm shuffling, that's the answer. And then how do we feel about that? Not just like, here's the answer, it's over. It's like, here's what it says. What do you think about that? How does that make you feel? Where, what direction? What other questions should we ask? Things like that. So it's one-on-one healing. And then I also, for people who want just kind of a tarot reading but don't want to have to sit down and set up and put their makeup on and whatever to do a video session with me, they also can just book a emailed tarot reading, which I will get you within a week, and you get about 6 or 7 cards. I'll do a reading myself. I'll sit down, meditate on you, do a reading. Unless you ask me something specific, and while you book it, I will do a reading for you, write it all up, send you a picture of the whole thing, and give you that guidance in that way. And then you can read it all, get from your own, whatever sparks your own mind from the information that I just send you. And then we can have a bit of a conversation if needed afterwards. But it's a more simple way. And I do that through my website, alexisbuck.com. So anything, if you want a one-on-one session or you want a tarot reading, emailed one, you can go to alexisbuck.com, and those are all there. And it really helps because my healing modality and what I've been training to do to help other people has allowed me to then expand. And I'm going to be going to conferences and again doing healing one-on-one. Like, I sat down at a music festival the other day and just set up a card table, and I didn't charge people. I was just like, I'm just going to do readings for people and see who comes. And then I was just like, people were just giving me gifts and whatever, and it was a very beautiful symbiotic thing. And it was great to have that freedom to be able to heal and be in the moment and offer that to people during this very intense time that planetarily we're going through. So just to be more available has been really nice.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm really inspired by the way that you run your sessions, because it's very much a dialogue, which is so important to get feedback, and not being in like what I call the old paradigm spiritual way of like, this is a reading, this is what's going on. This is like a full feedback. And I think really it's so important to do work like that, because it allows people to come to their own conclusions and just have that little prompting and that little guidance from something that you say or the cards. And there's so many great tools, and I think it's beautiful that people like yourself are being able to develop very kind of unique ways that's your own, and it's helping so many people. Like, it makes my heart just oh.
Well, thank you. And like, it's been so rewarding, and it's the best part though that I did kind of understand that this would be part of it, was the people who come to a healer or somebody else, a teacher in their mind, somebody who has info that they want to gain, they then begin to like learn how that works, and then how they can do that for themselves and become a healer too, because there's literally billions of people on this planet, and there is big shifts coming. And the more healers who are confident enough to do a dialogue and just be present with somebody and offer and share your love and energy and understanding and compassion and your knowledge from your own journey with another person, it's just so amazing. It's the best feeling. Like, the people I've been working with over the last few months, a lot of them are like, Alexis, I'm no longer doing sessions with you because I'm taking the leap and beginning to do my own services for others. And that's just like it's just so amazing, because it opens up more space for new people to come in, and then new people for them, and more people here and there, and everybody's feeling empowered and grooving with their own true desires to be what they want to give the world.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. You touched on such important points.
Thank you.
But that's what what's one of the most important things for me and how I work, is that if I can empower people and get that spark emanating, and they can go on and do their thing. And I've had so many people like yourself, and it's like, it's the most rewarding thing to be a part of someone's journey, that they can then step into their own self-mastery and get out there and do their soul work, because then it's having a bigger ripple effect.
Huge.
And, if you think about the implications of like going through this massive shift, and obviously you would look at, saying to the viewers, like, look at your own life and look at the people who are aware of what's going on around you and the people that aren't. And like, I can't help but get this analogy of like ground crew, boots on, let's go team. You
Mhm.
know, there's like, I don't want to say a sense of urgency, but I do feel like I'm being pushed to work a lot at the moment to kind of try and set something up that will be a bigger platform, because I feel like that's going to be needed, you know, sooner rather than later. And, you know, you can see that so many people are awakening.
Mhm.
Like, just so I don't even know the words for it. I see things visually. It's like just
You're
firecrackers
just
going
seeing.
off.
I mean, it's a good visual. I don't argue with it for sure. It's just like, I mean, if you think about it, there's in the chakra system, like the whole idea. I mean, a lot of the scripture and stuff is like, this is the time where people's like, boom, like they're having this flowering of the crown chakra and allowing that other chakras even higher up to be accessible and begin to try and open up and empower as well. So literally people's like crowns are opening up and they have more cosmic understanding about what's going on, and their intuition's opening up, and there's some powerful, amazing people like on this planet, and a lot of them don't give themselves the credit that I think that they, they've lived many lives to earn, and they've come here to do great work. And the more of them who we can empower, the better.
Totally. And it's such an important point that, you know, there's so many of us amazing beings, whether we're star seeds or we're like, you know, I have all these terms, and you know, so many, but like there's the ones that I kind of more resonate. I do resonate with being a star seed, no doubt, because it's been a big part of my experience. But I know I've been on this planet many like cycles, you know? And but one thing that I really want to talk about, because you touched on it before, and that's been a theme that's coming up, and I just want to put that out there, that, you know, you went through that massive shift back in April, and it's taken you until now to start to feel like balanced again, or adjusted to the new normal, perhaps, is a better way to describe that. And
Yeah.
for me, very similar to what you described. Mine was at the end of 2015 with my Kundalini, and you know, the pop of everything going off, and I had very similar experience to you with the visions, and you know, being in that heightened state. Um, and then there kind of tends to be that up, and then it kind of like, yeah.
And I think that's good that you're bringing that up, because it's kind of like we're going through it, so it's hard to be like talk about it and even remember it sometimes because it's just so intense. So I'm glad, yeah, we should talk about it.
I think so, because so many people are going through that, or on, you know, in various stages, and um, it's probably, you know, is talked about, but like in detail, just to bring, and I guess that's what I'm trying to bring with these cosmic conversations, is like to normalize what these experiences are like, to know
Mhm.
that people potentially what they could expect, or that what they're going through is okay, and that they're not crazy. And you know, it can be really hard for the people around you, family, colleagues, loved ones, if they're not
Mhm.
going through it, because, you know, it can be hard to explain and articulate because you don't fully understand it. And, you know, I know for I like mine, you know, I literally, it was in an instant, and I heard the pop, which I think was like pineal gland kind of, and all my senses got heightened, and I was in a very high frequency, and you know, I actually held that frequency for 6 months, which I'm actually, I look back now, I'm shocked that I could do that. But when the dip came, you know, that's when the real releasing work happens. And I spent a good 9 months to a year in a house by myself, staring at a wall, trying to
Yeah.
grasp. And it was very challenging for me at that time. And I know that that's a very shared commonality of people who go through a rapid awakening, a rude awakening. Like, no doubt our soul knows, because it's pre-planned, that, you know, cosmic alarm clock of awakening. But the human element, it can be very scary, very terrifying. And you know, I think that that's where people like yourself and the work that I do, and so many other great practitioners, we can kind of step in, because we've been through those shifts and constantly still going through them. Let's not, but have a little bit more of a context or a life experience to kind of help people through those tougher times.
I totally agree. And, you know, it's very good to, it's nice too that a lot of this, what we do on the regular basis, watching the cosmic energy, is that it does do this. And everything in life kind of does this. And, you know, you might reach a brand new peak every time. Like, again, I think it's more of a upward spiral. Like that makes the most, that's science, you know, the science is there too for that. But again, it's an intense experience, and when you go up into that highest high, you know, you literally have to release things that are keeping you from reaching even newer heights, and that's exciting too. And it's an intense experience, and it's good to have. I've had a lot of sessions, again, I'm sure you have too, where people have been like, I've lost my partner, my job, my house, everything's gone. What happened? And it's like, ta-da! Like, you did it. Congratulations. Like, this is the last money I have, and I'm using it to talk to you. And then, like, then, you know, it's very honorable. Like, you feel very honored. A lot of it's a lot of implication to that as well. And it's like, you have been freed in such a crazy way, and you're literally going to have to reprogram your brain and your mind about what you think reality is supposed to be, because we've been taught that you go to school, you get a job, and you work, and you have a mortgage, and you pay off everything throughout your life, and you retire. And it's like, you're not really able to be in those patterns anymore, because life is so much more than that. And it's a blessing. It's also scary, because most of the people around you aren't doing it that way. They're still doing it the old way. And you're being asked to take on a whole new way of living. And, you know, you're being asked to do that while you're also staring at a wall in your house, alone in your apartment. Because I was the same way. I was alone in my apartment for 3 days at least, and I couldn't even do anything really. It was just like an intense thing for 3 days. And then you're like, okay, what's going on? And those things will happen. And I'm glad we're talking about it, because then the more of us being like, oh yeah, that's normal, like, you're gonna feel insane, and it's gonna be great.
Wild ride, that's for sure. You know, I you know, I think maybe I think we'll wrap it up shortly, but maybe if I can ask, you know, if we can manage a time down the road, depending on where you're at and where I'm at, I would love to reconnect again, and we could dive more into like other aspects of this, because I think it's such an important topic of normalizing it and preparing people and assisting them really to go through such, it's massive, it's on every level. And yeah, when you're going through so much, just the base, and I was there, the basic necessities of just trying to keep a roof over your head while you're trying to grapple with a new reality and everything in your life being literally taken away in one foul swoop. It's like, it's a lot to deal with, and then your body's doing funny things and you're crying all the time. And but ultimately, you know, it is liberating us, and it's evolving us, and then the bigger picture is so beautiful. Like, it's so worth it. When I, looking back now, I wouldn't change a thing. And I'm sure you could attest to that. Like, I don't know, do you have?
I'm totally like, oh. I want to say that it we are talking about the intensity of the change, and we don't even know, like you and I don't even know if there, and I have suspect there is more changes that are coming as well. And it's a major test of faith. And for those people who have a more sturdy spiritual practice, people who do something to kind of connect with their center, with the oneness of the universe, with their self every day, it helps tremendously through this thing, because faith has been the biggest test. And it's like, you have to know that no matter what it is that you go through, you are somehow going to be provided for, and you just have to realize that you're going to get an insight about who to call, or someone's going to call you, or things like that. And those moments, and it's very much you beginning to relax and surrender into the flow of the universe, because this is such a tremendous shift that our minds cannot comprehend, or really, they haven't been trained to be able to help us as much as we hope in this thing. And it really comes down to having a more faith-based experience, and that's a big thing to learn and to go through. And you're strong enough. No matter what, you are not going to be given something that you cannot handle.
Yeah. Beautifully said. Beautifully said. We always have exactly what we need in every moment, and trusting in that, it just allows, to see how magnificent, how magical, like, being, and I laugh about this, like being down to my last few cents or dollars, and then somehow someone gifted me something, and it just spurs you on and keeps you going in those times of, or being, we always have what we need, and when you hold that trust and that faith, most certainly it helps with that spiritual practice, because you're connecting with that knowingness and understanding and a higher perspective, and not with the fear of the ego mind that will say, oh, this is it for you.
It's like, it's not going to be logical. It's the weird thing. It's like, you're going to try and think your way through it, but that's not, I don't think that's the point at all.
No, not at all. Not at all.
We think we're smart, and then you really get hit with something. You're like, I don't know what's going on. And your brain really doesn't work during it anyway.
No, not at all. I have to laugh at myself, because so many times, like, I thought I knew how things were going to go, or, I worked it all out,
expectations.
And then, boom, so it's much nicer to be in the awe of the unfolding, and not to, place those expectations. And
if we want to do another video about this, I think maybe it would be fun to aim at the same sort of time that this happened to us last year. And perhaps that will be another time when it's going to be another swoop is going to come in, and a bunch more people are going to have this thing, and they're going to really need that support. But I know we'll be guided to do it when it's the right time.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful, thank you. Yep. I totally, all my senses are going, yes, yes, yeah. Let's look at doing that, because it definitely feels like there's the next round, the next wavers ready to switch on and jump on board the cosmic roller coaster, or no, the lovely spiral that goes off in increments. Alexis, I cannot thank you enough for this cosmic conversation. Like, it has just been such a pleasure to connect with you, and listen to your wisdom and your insight and your knowledge. And I think we talked about some really important stuff, and we didn't even really get to the sciencey specifics. But so I think what I'll do is, like, just have a check in the description box below, because I'm going to, like, fill it jam packed with amazing info of how you can contact her, how you could book a session with Alexis, what her YouTube channel is, and maybe some specific links to some of the videos that you've done that go through it with your graphs and everything, because I think that's a lot easier for people who are visual to kind of understand and go about it.
Yeah, the easiest, at least for the most updates like yourself, has been doing the Instagram and Facebook page. So if you're like, ooh, I feel weird today, you can just check Instagram or Facebook and be like, oh, Alexis or Alicia or both of us have talked about this, and it really helps to flush out, at least I think helps to flush out what the heck is going on at that moment. And I definitely help to, like, I do arrows and stuff to explain the graphs, and I try to be, because I'm not, I'm not crazy intense scientist. I only have, 4 years of scientific university experience in a way, but that's all I really need. These graphs are not that complicated, but they're also in other languages, some of them. So it's like, ugh. I've done my best to understand how they read, and I honestly did all this work to challenge people who are smarter than me to come in and correct me. And the weird thing is that it hasn't happened. So I'm like, I don't know, maybe I'm right on the money. I'm always open to conversation and challenge in the scientific community, especially being like, let's get some more details about this. Let's talk about this. Like, I don't claim to be an expert, but I'm getting some serious experience for sure.
Yeah, and I just, from the feedback that I've got from people who have sent across you and come, like, the feedback's been amazing, because what they've said to me is it's exactly what they were looking for. So it's like,
Wow,
yeah,
that's so nice.
So you've hit on something that has that translatable, even though you're not translating Russian, but
Yeah.
you're translating it for people to digest and understand, and that's a beautiful thing, and that's a beautiful gift to the world. And from me and everyone who's watching, like, thank you for the work that you do, and may it continue to grow and blossom. And I look forward to connecting in with you next time and seeing where in the world you are.
And what I've been up to, and what dimension we're in.
Love that. Super clear. Thank you once again. Any closing words? Or
I just want to say again, thank you as well for all of the work that you've been doing and participating in talking about this, because it's been nice to have another person. And it's not just us, but for sure, and me, at least in my world, it's been a lot of us. And I'm really grateful for you participating and adding your own influence on it, because I can't do it every day too. And it's been nice to just have to know that at least probably one of us is going to cover it. And if people are getting more of a different perspectives on it, and encouraging more of a diverse conversation about it, I feel like it's been really awesome. And it's been an honor to do this work with you. And it's been an honor to be on your show.
oh,
And
thank you.
I look forward to doing more, and I look forward to the fun energy waves that are going to be hitting us, and how all of you are going to feel about it. And so I'd love to have you again on my YouTube channel and on my platforms too, because I'd love to hear how you've been responding to these energy shifts too, because it's metadata. Like, we're gathering as much data as we can from the community and empowering as many people to speak about their experience, because it can be lonely sometimes. And and I know it personally for sure, I'm really working on bridging those gaps in the physical world, and actually hand touching people and being face to face and sharing in that energy and understanding and relating about this crazy awesome stuff that's going on.
Thank you once again, and beautifully said. I'm very excited to connect with you again and do this again. And the humor that goes in my head, and like, yeah, we'll be kind of live streaming when the big crescendo wave hits, but no, we'll have much more important things to do at that time. But look forward to who knows, right? That could be fun.
I'm up for it. I feel like that would be something we would do.
Yeah. And yeah, just thank you again. And it's so nice that we can have these different platforms that we do kind of co-share and collaborate, and it just builds more awareness to people. So once again, thank you so much, Alexis, for being here for Cosmic Conversations. And we look forward. Thank you for everyone who's watched on the replay, and very much looking forward to sharing more with you again. Signing off for now. See you. Mwah.
Bye, everyone.